Strap yourself in, woodworker Limpet, not available in the state of shock.
Hi, I'm Dan Schinder here on Drum Talk TV with my guest today, Jimmy Deanda. Jimmy, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for coming out to the Valley.
Yeah, where I grew up.
I know,
which is
awesome,
weird.
yeah.
We haven't seen each other since January. I saw you at Brian Tichy's Bonzo Bash.
I can't believe 8 months?
Yeah,
Oh,
8 months. And then I saw you the next day, just walking around now. We talked a little bit.
Yes.
8 months just went by like that.
Right. What did you think of the Bonzo Fiesta?
The Bonzo Fiesta, first of all.
And by the way, now I'm interviewing him.
Yeah, which is cool.
Yeah.
I think that I know that Brian Tichy goes to big strains to put something like that together.
Oh, yeah.
Drum Talk TV is putting on a couple events, and we actually said, you know what, let's do this next year because it's just so big, so much work. It's like a separate full-time job. I got to tell you, first of all, amazing drummers, and we got 26 interviews from the Bonzo Bash in May and the first day of June.
Nice.
But going back to the one you were at back at NAMM, I appreciate how all the different artists put their own take on playing a Zeppelin song.
Right.
But I gotta tell you, being a traditionalist and speaking the Bonzo linguum the way I do, you were my favorite performance.
Oh.
No disrespect to any of our other artists we work with or anybody else there, but first of all, you played somewhat of an obscure song from somewhat of an obscure Zeppelin album, Presence, and Jimmy played Royal Orleans. And dude, I was going like this to the guys next to me because I was like, he's nailing it. That's it. And dude, I loved that. I loved it.
You know what's funny is that when we do this, and again, Tichy is just so, very few people I know could do that job as far as putting that many musicians or drummers and musicians together without just going crazy.
It's a separate hat that has nothing to do with being a musician. It's being a producer.
I was a part of like one day of just seeing some stuff come together in a rehearsal, and I was like, I would never do this in a million years. I couldn't do it, but I would never do it. But the fact that he did it the way he did it, which was initially for the love of John Bonham. It was for the love of the music that Led Zeppelin gave us, and we got to be able to share it with some other people. Right. That was the initial goal, and then he always makes sure that whoever gets involved, that's what they're doing. They're playing the music so that the people can enjoy it together. We all have this moment. So when he would call me, he'd go, dude, and I love Tichy. He'd call me and he'd go, dude, do something really out there, because he knows I kind of like to do stuff like that. Yeah. And then he would call me and go, dude, do this song. And I go, you know what? I think I got something that you're going to like. And so there's a huge email process, a chain that goes around. And then I wrote him, I go, here's a song. And he just wrote. That was it. So it's a lot of fun. And you know what? It's one of those times that I think as a drummer, you get to really, show, what you've got. It's a moment where you get to really.
Yeah, and I think just from being the other side of it and having the same love for the same music, it's a way to show what you've got with some of the music and drumming that meant the absolute most to you and had the biggest influence on you.
I mean, gosh darn it, I really hate to, because like you said, I don't alienate other drummers. I love Alex Van Halen, Bunny Carlos. There's so many drummers that I love. Yeah. But John Henry Bonham, what he did is still it's never been matched. It will never be matched. It's just the way it is. I don't know how else to say it, but when I hear Led Zeppelin songs, and it's funny because it's one of the few bands next to, and Peart is another guy, where you'll see people listening to the music and they'll always have to drum certain parts. Yeah. Well, Led Zeppelin, you'll listen to Led Zeppelin in a club anywhere, and every time that drum, there's always a drum fill or a drum break or a part. Everybody, like just people in the club, will do the
they'll mime to it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just what he did was so special, and I'm just grateful to Tichy that he brought me in on this.
It's cool. That was a good call, Brian. They all are amazing.
Yeah, they all are. Are you kidding me?
Amazing lineups. This last one, from Aaron Comas to Jojo Mayer to Joe Franco.
It's so funny.
Matt Starr just goes on and on.
So we're like watching, Jojo, and then one of the guys goes like he doesn't know who Jojo. He's just a rock guy. He doesn't know who Jojo is. And then he goes, I heard this guy was really good. He's not, And I go, dude, seriously? With one hand, if this guy wanted to, he would ruin all of us, dude. And he goes, seriously? And I go, dude, with one hand.
And his other hand would be at another gig.
I swear to God, dude. And he kind of didn't get it. It was so funny, though.
Absolutely. Let me ask you this.
Yes, I will answer this.
Okay. You're not with BulletBoys anymore.
Right.
I met the current BulletBoys drummer the other night, and that's
got to
actually,
be tough for that poor guy because he's like literally the 40th guy.
Well, that's how I found out you weren't with them, and it just sort of came out in conversation, and I was like, oh, so that means Jimmy. And coincidentally, I'm seeing you 2 days later. So,
right. You know, that band was a very unique. It's a 4-member band. That's what that is. And when you take 1 or 2 guys out, it really ceases to be that band anymore. It's not. It's not BulletBoys. It's the singer, and he hires guys to go play. And you know, and God bless the guy. You know, go out and have fun and do your thing. You know, I had put together a reunion show a couple years ago. You know, based on the idea that let's see how this goes, and then maybe we'll do a tour. You know, literally within like the week after that we'd done the show, I got calls from several people saying, dude, go on tour with us, from bands who were going on summer runs that were going to be packed, you know. Right. And, you know, it's unfortunate because I you know, the singer, he's been doing it that way for a while, and I don't think he realized that in order for this thing to be at full potential, that it has to be the band, you know, again, you know, we all have to have control, we all have to share it like the way we did back in, you know, when the band was famous. Yeah. You know, when the band was making the best records they ever made, it was 4 guys making the records. It was, you know, along with Ted Templeman and the management, Dave Kaplan, and of course my wife was a part of the management team too. And anyways, but he wanted to maintain the ownership and all that stuff and controlling, you know, everything. And I said, awesome, go rock and roll, go do it. But, you know, in order for this thing to be what it's supposed to be, which is all the 4 guys, then we'd all have to do it. And then he just said, no. He goes, I want to keep doing it. I said, awesome, rock and roll. You know.
That's cool. And you're going through an interesting phase in your career and your life. And a lot of this intentionally, I don't know. And what I mean by that is I wanted to find out this stuff in conversation for the first time, just like the audience is. I don't like to come on and do an interview where I know all the answers to everything I'm asking. To me, that's contrived, whether it looks like it or not. I like to find the stuff out just like you folks do, and that's why I do the interviews. I'm not unique. If I have a question in my mind, I figure it's a valid question. A lot of other people probably want to know that same thing. That's true. So what I do know is that you were completely out of the scene for a long time. You became a stay-at-home dad. Yeah. You built the studio here. You know, you started doing your own stuff, and then
well, you know, what's funny is my son, so at the end of BulletBoys, I had a beautiful son.
Who's now 36.
Who's now 21, just turning over the weekend. And what happened was I wanted to be a stay-at-home dad, and I was, you know, blessed that my wife was working. And so we ended up, you know, she went to work, I stayed home with the boy. And, you know, and I did that until, I want to say that was like 94-ish. And then around 99, 98, 99, I started, you know, it was funny because he started going to school and he was starting to be his own person. And I remember one time, like, I literally, I swear, he went to school and I cried. I was so sad because he had his own life. He had his own friends. And I remember I called my wife at work and then I said, I'm so sad, honey. He's like, he doesn't need me anymore like he did, you know. And she goes, honey, you have to go get back into a band again. You have to go start being a musician again. I was like, oh, that's right. That's what I do. Oh my God, I forgot completely that I was a musician.
Yeah, Max has people to play with now. Now you need to go find people to play with. Yeah.
And the first thing I had done, which was just funny how will come full circle on this, is I got a call from George Lynch, who was going out and was doing the first time with the original singer from Lynch Mob with Oni Logan. And they called me and I went to go do a tour with them. And that was in '99. And you know, that started the ball rolling again, you know, and it was funny because I had, you know, I'd been, you know, I didn't stop playing completely. I mean, I still would do stuff, but it wasn't at the level that I was doing before. Right. You know, because it takes a lot, you know, in order to be a successful musician, this is to all musicians if you're starting out on this, it's literally an every day, every night process. It's not like, you know, I'm taking off the weekend. It doesn't happen like that. You have to be there every day, every night, mornings, noons, and nights, Monday through Sunday, making calls, booking shows, getting other bands together, and, you know, trying to build this thing. Yeah. You know, so what I did is I just kind of like, I would jump in and go jam with the band. I played bass in a band for a while. because I just wanted to be a part of it, but I don't want to lug a bunch of drums, man. Oh my God, I swear. That was the one thing that I remember, when you're in like in the 80s, in the 70s and the 80s, guys had double bass, 14 toms and a million cymbals. And then, as you see nowadays, guys have literally one crash, one ride and high, because it's like, I'm not taking a bunch of shit.
I have a huge set, and one of my sons just took up the harmonica, and now I think I know why.
Well, I used to hate singers because singers would just show up.
Just show up, yeah.
That's it. Not even the microphone.
Even the mic is there.
Yeah, that's
exactly.
what I'm saying. Not even the microphone. They just show up, and I'd be like, Anyways, but so, getting back into the scene, was really... It was different for me. I was able to...
the scene was different, too, when you came back, to a degree, right?
Yeah, and it was more, at the time, it was more about playing live. It was about going out with George and Oni. At the time, Chuck Garrick was playing, who's now in Alice Cooper.
Right.
And has...
great bass player.
Visto Blanco. He has... Do you look at his other band?
Yeah. And he plays live with Ori. They all just finished the tours and stuff, but Chuck is great.
Anyways, but and then we went and we did a run, and then I came home, and then unfortunately at the time I was struggling with some personal issues, and I had to get what they refer to as clean and sober, and I did so, and it was it was a part of my journey, and it really helped me to be able to do what I do now. In the way that I do it now, I should say, because now it's like, when you're a kid and you first start playing, we talked about this before, when you first play drums, you play drums for yourself. You play music for yourself. Right. It's because it sounds great. You put on a Queen record, and then you play Tie Your Mother Down, and you feel like you're in Queen. Yeah. Well, that's what you do, when you start out, and then we forget as musicians as we grow older.
And there's the business pressure.
Absolutely, and there are deadlines, and then there are people who are expecting you to be a certain way or whatever.
Some jackass has to schedule an interview with you. All kinds of stuff goes on.
But the truth is, if you're lucky, you will get to find that again. Yeah. Because some guys don't. There's a jam that we've been doing on Monday nights. Hopefully when this comes out, it'll still be Monday nights. And it's with James Lomenzo and Kenny Aronoff. Wow. And a great guitar player, Brent Woods. And it's in Toluca Lake. And a bunch of musicians show up and we jam. And I'll tell you, for the first time in a long time, it's one of those jams where people are having a good time. But you know what? It's not because nobody's in the bathroom, doing the deal, and people aren't trying to like backstab. It's just like, wow, we have the opportunity just to jam right now. And so getting clean and sober helped me to remember what it's like to be able to play music for its basic, most beautiful fundamental, which is just, it's an expression of art, and I get to do that, every day of my life now.
Is that... Obviously, it's one of the biggest perspectives you probably have now, being clean and sober for 12 years?
Coming up on 12 years.
12 years. Congratulations.
Thank you
cool.
very much. It's important.
Are there other really big retrospectives you have now that you're on this side of it? And it's not, a year is great for anybody out there that's been clean and sober for a year.
Or a
3
day.
years, or a day. Yeah. But 12 years into it, what do you mind mentioning just a couple other big perspectives that has given you?
It's a process, and it's learning really who you are again. Mm-hmm. Because, for me personally, the drugs and alcohol confused me as to who I was. And I thought I was this person, and I had a fake sense of security, I had a false sense of who, of what was right and what was wrong. There was a lot of which when you've been around for a while, it's poor me, another one. Yeah. It turns into that stuff, and then it ends up, you just end up wasting so many years of your life, and you ruin relationships, and so being clean and sober, what it's helped, what it's done is it's reintroduced me to me, and I've been able to then have have positive change, in my life, in areas that I didn't realize. I mean, I'm a better father than I've ever been. I'm a better husband than I've ever been. I'm a better friend than I've ever been. When I say show up here, I make a deal with you to be here at my studio at 11. Guess what? I'm here ready to go at 11.
Absolutely, yeah. And drummers should never be late for anything. It's what we do. Timing is what we do for a living. Exactly. Yeah.
But so there's that, and then the real big blessing that I've had in getting clean is that I've been able to take that information to other musicians, just like it was brought to me by there was a handful of musicians that gave me some of this insight, and then that helped me, because remember, we all bought into what our creed was, which was sex, drugs, and rock and roll. So a lot of years, that's what I did, and I had to learn that I could still be a rock and roll musician without the drug process, and, and that was something that took time, because you'd go into rehearsals and people would be smoking or snoring or drinking excessively, and you either have to learn to say, I got to leave the situation, or just figure out there are other ways to live your life.
How to get through it.
Right, exactly. So the fact that I was taught, and I'm still I'm teachable, I'm still learning.
Good, and we always should be in life and music, whatever. Yeah.
But I'm able to now pass that information out to other musicians, and especially I try to work with young kids, about that, and talk to them about that. How, people get high to feel the way you feel right now. The way like you first learn a Led Zeppelin song or a Black Sabbath song on guitar. Well, that's why guys are getting high, to try to feel that the way you feel.
What you're able to get out of being
right.
Yeah, you're right.
So I tell them, you don't have to get loaded now. Now just
you're already there.
You're there.
You're there. Yeah.
Yeah, you're confused at some point, and somebody puts the stuff in you, and you go, okay, well he's doing it, so I'm gonna do it.
There is no level beyond that. Don't try to
really,
get there.
Really
yeah, just become a better player.
The high when you're on stage playing in front of any people, in front of
four people.
Four people
There's
to 40,000
like
people.
it.
It's like the second that you end that song and you hear, that's the deal right there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thanks. Those are great lessons.
Are you kidding me?
That's really cool.
Like I said, I've been so blessed in the life that I have led, because I got to do a lot of stuff. Remember, I was 19 years old when I signed with BulletBoys. I was a young kid and I didn't know a lot, and I was able to go through all that stuff and then come out and then be okay for the most part.
And I gotta say, it's such a testament to the love of your marriage and your wife and all of that. Absolutely. The fact that
you're not gonna make me cry.
How long have you guys been together? 27
Well, no,
years,
it's going to be 22 in January.
Yeah. That's just so cool. That's great.
Yeah.
Good for you, man.
Thank you very much. We're very, again, also by getting clean, we're reintroduced to each other again.
Yeah.
And like we started having date nights again. Friday night was a standing date night. It didn't matter. I don't care what, unless I had a big gig. She came home. I was dressed, ready to go. She did a quick change, and we go out and we'd have date night.
That's great.
Yeah. After a lot of years of being together.
Cool. Yeah. What can you tell us about your projects now? One thing I want to mention, actually, if you don't mind.
Please do.
You have some projects coming up, but something that we learned today in talking is that you want to get more and more into artist development.
Yes.
And in a bit of a different way, in a throwback way, right?
Absolutely.
You kind of want to bring back an essence of the business from the 70s. It's kind of been lost, and you're kind of on a mission to sort of reestablish that, aren't you?
That's absolutely, I want to work with young bands. For you young bands out there, what I want to do is what was done in the 70s. What it was is labels found bands and they nurtured them to help them find their sound and then help them to grow. And when they wanted to travel down the road of sounds and textures, they were told absolutely, you wouldn't have a Pink Floyd the way you have a Pink Floyd, because if a label today heard some of them 8-minute songs, with the first 2 minutes are no vocals, they would never be signed. But there's room for everybody. All the colors on the palette. Okay, so I want to find young bands who want to travel down that road, and I want to help them find a sound. I want to record them. I want to help them, just understand that unfortunately today the industry is it's changing so fast. I mean, the way it was a year ago or 2 years ago, it's changing. So I want to be able to, help them understand that if you want to be who you want to be, you got to stick to your guns. If you want to be a Queens of the Stone Age, if you want to be a Mew, or you want to be, I don't even care who it is, you have to really stay on the course. And no matter how many people say you don't have a radio hit, or nobody crossbreeds country and thrash. Right. Why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
And you know what? What's so cool about this is this school of thought it's basically a whole nother way of saying, don't let the industry or commercialism thwart your artistic sensibilities, number one.
Right.
And number two, there really is an audience for everything.
Are you kidding me?
And there's an audience for some things like country and thrash or surf and reggae. Hasn't been done yet. There's an audience for everything. Will you have 14 platinum records on the wall and tour 60,000 seat arenas the rest of your life? Maybe not, but that's not, when you go into it when that's not what it's about, that's when you'll always be good and you'll always be successful.
And that's the thing, and where I've got to now in my age is, I'll play to 200 people a night, God willing, for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
If I'm playing great music with a group of guys that I really care about, I will be happy I will go to bed every night giggling. Yeah. Okay, because that's really, and plus, who's selling 14 million records these days? Who's out there selling out arenas anymore? I mean, unless you're Aerosmith, Van Halen, bands of that caliber, really nobody. I mean, so I say to these young musicians, find a niche and then own it.
Right.
Make that what you do. So people always go, oh, that sounds like that band. Now you have a sound. Now you have and that's how followings start,
Right.
I mean, but you have to follow through on it. You can't, at the first sign of like somebody going, oh, the guy from American Idol. I'm just saying that. I'm not saying that, I'm not putting down American Idol. Well, actually, I kind of am. But because you know what? It's what's wrong about that is that they're teaching kids impatience. Like, if you can't make it here and now, you're not going to make it.
Interesting.
And that's what I don't like about that, because the Beatles were turned down by every label. I was told several times, and here these kids, they get on TV and they sing and then they're told no, and then they give up. And that's not how that works.
Yeah. And some of them have gone on to get deals second, third. But in general, I understand it's the message they're sending through the tube at the kids. And I think, how about if young artists look at it this way? If you're 10, if you're 20, if you look at music as a basic career path, you could go to college, you can get a job and become an architect or learn sales, maybe make $60,000, $80,000 a year. What if you became a musician for the sake of the love of music, playing the kind of music you want to play, like Jimmy is saying, and you made $60,000 or $80,000 a year, not $1 million? What's wrong with that? You're still paying for your house, sending your kids to school, you got a nice car, you can pay for insurance. What's wrong with?
And that's, and again, that's where I've got to in my life these days. That, if I'm able to pay bills by playing rock and roll music, then that's the deal.
Yeah. That's cool. That's great.
But anyway, so, I want to be able to help bands, create their sound and not have to worry about a label or somebody telling them, or anybody saying that you don't sound like this band. You don't sound like this band. Well, because we're not that band.
Exactly. Let's establish this sound. This
Absolutely.
is us. Yeah. Very cool. At the end of the interview, you'll see all of Jimmy's information if you want to get a hold of him and bend his ear about your sound. What else have you got going on?
With George Lynch, which is funny how I came full circle with Lynch. Yeah. He's making a movie with a new band the band's called Shadow Train, and the movie's called Shadow Nation. And it's bringing awareness to some Native American tribes that are going through some really difficult times. And again, with alcoholism and with overall, there are people that are breaking treaties that have been in effect for many years. And it's a really, I got to play on reservations over the summer.
Wow.
For this movie. It was filmed, it was all documented. It's a documentary. I mean, Ted Nugent's in the film, Tom Morello, Serge Tankian's in it.
Wow.
A lot of people who are very political and active in that area. And George is very active in that area. And the musicians in that band, George handpicked everybody. I mean, they're phenomenal musicians. I mean, it's cool. It's kind of like, you ever see the movie, I don't know if it's The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, or one of those, where the guy, after he's in the desert, he comes out and he gets into a gun shop and he picks the best pieces to make one really amazing gun.
Yeah.
He gets with the barrel, and he gets
the stock of another.
Exactly, and then he puts them all together and he makes that gun. That's kind of what George did with this band.
That's cool. What a great analogy.
Yeah, it's a really, and the band is just really good. And I got other things I'm working on. I'm working with Bruce Bouillet that was in Racer X and the Scream. We had songs that we're working on. this singer from Seattle, this guy Travis Brock, that's an amazing singer. I was playing with Mike Starr from Alice in Chains for a little while right before he passed away, and he was a singer from that. And this guy sings like the bejesus, you know.
Wow.
I'm just like, I swear, I'm playing, you know, Tom Morello's guitar player in his band, Night Watchman, is a guy that I've been playing with for a while too. Carl Restivo, he's an amazing guitar player, singer too. So I know one of these things, or a few things, will come out this next year, and then it'll be some really good music that people can enjoy.
And what's cool is it sounds like they're all things that you're twinkling about all of them as you describe it. You're happy to be part of all of them.
The common denominator with all of these bands,
they all have a great drummer.
They're all amazing guys. They're all like, you know, nobody's jacked up.
Yeah.
Nobody's drug or alcohol induced. You know, they're all trying to really do some really good stuff in their life. That's the thing, you know.
That's great.
I got tired of dealing with knuckleheads and guys who are kind of just drama related, and you know, the guys have to get drunk in order to rehearse, and just
yeah,
it's exhausting.
It is exhausting.
You know.
Well, let's talk about your gear a little bit.
Yes, I would love to.
And as the lovely Lori Shube, who's with us on this road trip, hands me this. When I came into the studio, and maybe this camera gets this, I'm going to hold this in front of Jimmy.
Please do.
This is an amazing finish. It's a beautiful green, and you know, we all have our colors. Some people hate green, whatever. Whether you like this color or not, you got to recognize it for an amazing finish. Like Barbra Streisand, you might not like her music, but she's a hell of a singer.
Oh my gosh, she's a phenomenal singer.
So I saw this kit when
and by
I
the way,
walked
this
in,
is the Barbra Streisand of drums.
This
just
is.
So you know.
So talk about how this new finish came about. We were talking about it earlier, right. And you know, talk about your Aquarian guy. We met with Aquarian 2 nights ago. I filmed something. Yeah. It's actually kind of cool that you didn't make that, because now we're here, and maybe this wouldn't have got planned that way. I don't know. So that's cool.
It's kismet. Yeah. So this this is my 20-year anniversary drum set with DW. I've been with them for 20 years, and when I sat with John Good, we over lunch we talked about, you know, something special. I wanted a special drum set, and I got, you know, special sizes and everything involved. And one of the things was, you know, I wanted to do something that he had never done before.
Now, so, how hard was that to figure out?
Really,
seriously,
it was, because I mean, if you go, if anybody's been to DW out there in Oxnard, like, you know, Terry Bozio's got an office there, and John gets to, you know, he goes and makes, and so he asked John, make this, and John makes stuff for him all day. So you go and you see some stuff, and you're like, oh my God, that's so beautiful. So we talked about this for a minute, and he had never used this color over the bird's eye, and we were able to really, you know. It's something that I've never seen before this set. I've never seen a drum like this.
I never have either. It's a beautiful color.
Yeah, and one of the things that's really nice is, like, if you you can't tell right now, but when lights are shine on it, and like, let's just say the drum kind of shakes a little bit on stage.
It vibrates. Yeah. Okay. Does it like shimmer or something?
It almost looks like there's water in there. It looks like something kind of moves in there. It's really
that's
interesting.
Cool.
Yeah. But this is my favorite. You know, I've been blessed again. You know, John, I have a handful of DW drum sets, but this is the guy. I mean, I got a 14 by 12, a 12 by 14, excuse me, a foot deep 14-inch tom, and 16 by 16, 18 by 18, the 18 by 24, and then this woofer here, which is a madman.
And explain this.
So this is a subwoofer. This is essentially the. This is the okay. So this drum gets a low end frequency,
and there's a head on the front of this.
Yeah, there's a head on the front of this guy.
Is it totally closed? Is there a port at all?
There's a port, but I don't use it at all.
Okay.
Okay. If I were to use this thing in a different studio setup, then I would allow the engineer to have access like that. I don't want to cut him, you know, like that.
But there's a port, whereas right now air will breathe through it.
And resonate this drum, which will then create this subsonic frequency. That, you know, this is a thin drum, and John can explain it much better than I could.
So
but
is this almost like the equivalent of a live effect that you get from recording with a sub kick?
Bingo.
Cool, that makes sense.
There's a microphone in this guy as there is in this guy.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so I'm able
to,
you know, I'm able to really get some serious low end out of this guy. And in any club I go into, even without microphones, this thing will bring that subsonic low end that you can't get with just a regular bass drum.
People right now are saying, "Well, let's hear it. Let's hear it." We're not set up so that if you played it, it would blow everything out. So you'll send me a link. Right now we're dropping in a video. Check Jimmy out playing this kit. We'll be right back.
that John did.
Yeah.
When he did the triplet, you know. A lot of guys just go.
They don't even do the crossover
Right,
part.
right. Yeah, John was such an amazing freak when he did just like small stuff like that.
Yeah.
But these drums, I like the bigness of them because I get to do stuff like. It's such meat and potatoes when you're recording with the band. It just sounds like this is huge stuff.
When you do stuff with space, they have all that breath. To give. Yeah.
And this, like I said, this is the ride right here.
I love the ride.
Oh my God. That's a great ride.
It sounds this thick. Right. It has the tone.
And it washes like, you know, when you do like anything heavy slow. It's so big. Yeah.
Sounds killer.
And again, these are the hi-hats I just.
Yeah, I love. So that hopefully gives you some idea.
That was hard.
You must love it, man. And go through the rest of your gear. The Aquarian heads, what do you use? Because a lot of things we covered the other night were the single, double. We're going to cover the triple ply as well. Your heads are clear. Talk about those.
Well, these are the Response 2 heads from Aquarian that I'm able to get some really interesting tones and textures out of. I do have different heads for different drum sets that I own. On a bigger black ICW, I have the Response 2, but the black coated, and they're a darker, just kind of like just a really thick head that I like the warmth of that. But this for the studio, because this is in my studio, I'm able to get some click, and I get some roundness out of these drums because they're so big that. If they're tuned normal, it just sounds like floor tom, floor tom, floor tom, but I need to bring this guy up, so I need a head that's... Okay. And again, that's the John Bonham, you know, he had his drums, his tom bottom heads were really tight.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Big difference.
The bottom head is really tight, and the top not so much. So, and then on the snare drum, I have the triple threat, which is new from Aquarian, which is an amazing, I mean, that thing, you can do brushes on it and articulate brush, you know, sounds, and then it cracks like, you know, old school crack. I mean, it's just like, it's amazing what that thing can do, the triple threat, because I used the high energy for a long time because on the road I just kill it, but that guy has been, that guy's been the guy. And then I've been with Paiste now for a minute, and I use the 2002s, but also, have you ever used this?
I can tell it's a different color. What is that?
This is a giant beat.
It's not as gold.
No, it's the giant beats are kind of what you hear on Houses of the Holy. You know, that kind of like, it's like a washier sound, but it's still really, it cuts through. I mean, these cymbals sound amazing. But you know, because I have a studio, I go and I talk to the people over at Paiste. You know, Andrew and Callie and Arturo there. And what I did is I have a 2002, I have Signature Series, and then the giant beats. And so what that does is I'm able to kind of like, it's like multiple.
There's a wider spectrum.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that makes sense. And the hi-hats are sound edge?
And those are a brand new Signature Series from Paiste that are, I think they just came out like in the last couple of weeks. And,
wow.
When you hear them, we'll refer to the playing, I'll do a little sum on them. You can hear it. Those things are amazing.
And I noticed they still have the price tag on them. They are pretty new, about 2 weeks.
They're brand new. I just got those things. Are you kidding me? They're so sexy.
That's great.
Yeah.
Very cool. Jimmy, thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
For coming on Drum Talk
Absolutely.
TV. And you know, you're welcome to come on anytime you want. Anytime you have something to promote, even if it's just a short video blog, you know, whatever you got. push it to us. We'll put it out there. Whenever you come to Vegas, whether if it's for fun or a gig, let me know. You'll come for dinner. It'll be great.
I got to go because my buddy Bloss from Slaughter is in the Blue Man Group, so I got to go see that. And then
what's his name?
Bloss Elias.
Okay, I didn't get with him. I interviewed 2 guys from Blue Man Group.
Oh, Bloss.
Jeff Totoro and Vince, who are now in Australia.
Okay.
As this is being recorded at the end of August here in 2013.
Nice.
So,
well,
yeah.
next time, hit up Bloss. That guy's a machine.
For sure,
Yeah, absolutely.
Great, we'll have you on again. And all of Jimmy's info is right here, magically on the screen. You can follow what he's doing through all these projects. Perhaps get with him, have him help develop you as an artist, you as a band,
absolutely.
Which is great. He's here in the San Fernando Valley in California.
Oh, yeah.
And very cool, man.
Awesome, Dan. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to Drum Talk TV. We'll see you soon on the next one. Bye.